Welcome back to my channel. I am back with another Baddies USA review, so let's just get right into it because a lot happened in this episode. So after the fight between Biggie and Diamond the Baddie was broken up, Tavi immediately starts asking Diamond if she wants to fight because at the Baddies Africa reunion, Diamond and Natalie were fighting and Tavi ran over there and she was basically holding down Diamond's arm so that Natalie could get the best of her. So obviously Diamond has an issue with her for that, and rightfully so, because Tavi should have stayed out of it. I mean, let's be honest, the only reason why Tavi got involved and held Diamond's arms down is because she wanted to get on Natalie's good side, because Natalie was obviously upset at a lot of the girls, including Tavi, for allowing Diamond to sneak her and not helping her out. So Diamond and Tavi are in their fight stance and they're walking around in circles staring at each other, nobody swinging for a little while. It kind of reminded me of Tinka and Killa trying to fight each other because nobody was swinging for quite some time. But once they started swinging, I'll definitely give the win to Tavi. She didn't win by a lot, but she definitely won. And Tavi was saying that she never even wanted to fight Diamond, that she wasn't even trying to hold Diamond's arms down. She was just trying to break up the fight between Natalie and Diamond because she didn't want them to fight to begin with. But I don't really believe Tavi, because I feel like if she really was trying to break up the fight, she would have got between the two of them, not just grabbed Diamond by her arms. I just feel like she was trying to make sure Natalie knew that she was on her side. And it's okay to be on Natalie's side, but just say that. Don't pretend like you were just trying to break up the fight, because you wasn't. Diamond said that she wasn't going to waste any more time on Biggie and Tavi because she said that the person that she really wants to fight is Natalie, and Natalie's not there. But before Diamond leaves, Rolly ends up grabbing her and bringing her to the center where all the baddies are, and they all congratulate her for winning MVP for 2 seasons in a row. And Biggie was the only one acting like a hater, and I don't understand why. She was definitely taking from Diamond's moment and making it about herself, because she started yelling about how she was the first MVP and how she should be the one getting congratulated because she was the first one, and she was making this a really big deal, and that was like 2 years ago that she won MVP, so I don't understand why she's talking about it now. I mean, Diamond has recently been the MVP. So Biggie was definitely giving hater. So when Diamond tried to compare Biggie to Meatball, that was the right, accurate comparison, because Meatball acted the same way when Tinka ended up getting her baddies chained before her. Biggie needs a lot of validation, and when she doesn't get that, she gets extremely insecure. I'm sorry, Biggie gives insecure. Just because she dresses cute and she looks cute every day does not mean she's not insecure, and I'm not talking about with her weight. She's just an insecure person, and we've seen a lot of that throughout the seasons that she's been in. Biggie is insecure in my opinion, and she has a lot of work that she needs to do on herself. Now Suki ends up showing up and she's dressed in all black like she's a stunt double for an action movie, and she has these gloves on her hands, and honestly I don't know what she has in those gloves, but I'm assuming she has something in them, because what would be the point of her wearing gloves to fight Gretchen? And as soon as Gretchen sees Suki coming over there, she runs over to her and the two of them start fighting. Now I slowed the fight down because it didn't really look like either one of them were doing anything, but after watching their fight in slow motion, this first round I'll definitely give to Suki. Now they end up fighting a second round, and this one I'll say that Gretchen did a lot better. This one gave tie to me because they were both swinging on each other and then they fell on the floor and we couldn't see what was happening on the floor. But all I will say is that when Gretchen got up off the floor, she had this big knot on her head with a split through it and she was bleeding, and everybody was just in shock because there's no way Suki's fist did that. I don't know if this is true, but I definitely do feel like she had some type of rings or brass knuckles on underneath those gloves, because there's no way Suki's fist did that on its own. And look, I don't have an issue with them fighting each other, but I have an issue with the fact that she keeps using weapons, because it's like, girl, you don't need that to fight Gretchen. She never needed that bear mace to fight Gretchen. She never needed whatever it is she used to cut Gretchen's neck, and she definitely did not need rings or, you know, some type of brass knuckles to fight Gretchen once again. I feel like she could have just fought her. She probably would have won without that. But I'm going to say that production is at fault for that, because they should have checked Suki before she walked into the house. I mean, they definitely need to start checking these girls after the things that Tommy's done. And then, I mean, after Gretchen getting her neck cut and then the bear mace situation, why would they not check Suki before she comes in the house? I mean, I originally thought that Suki was fighting Gretchen because Gretchen called her the B word, and then we know that they fought over that situation already, but then Mariah Lynn put the bug in Suki's ear that Gretchen was going to end up fighting her when her neck healed, so that's why she sprayed the bear mace. Not to justify her spraying the bear mace, but Mariah did put the bug in her ear that at some point Gretchen was going to come after her. But now I'm thinking that the reason why Suki ended up fighting Gretchen in this episode is because Gretchen does say the N-word and she's not black, because we saw that Suki got a pep talk from Umar Johnson before she ended up walking into the house to fight Gretchen this last time. So I definitely do think it's because of the N-word thing, because she did say that she did that for her ancestors as she was walking into the car to leave. And I'm not gonna lie, I did laugh when I saw the video of her getting a pep talk from Umar Umar Johnson because I just thought that was funny that he gave her a pep talk before she went in there and fought Gretchen. And look, I don't agree with Gretchen using the N-word either. Some of the other girls on the show I don't believe should be using it either. I mean, I don't think that any of them should use the word, but definitely not Gretchen, and I can understand why a lot of the women on the show and some of the fans have an issue with Gretchen using the word as well. But I don't think that she should have gotten bear maced or hit in the forehead or cut on the neck with like brass knuckles or whatever scratched her on the neck, so I just don't feel like you had to take things that far. But Suki ends up being done with this season. I don't know if she's coming back for chapter 2 of Baddies USA, but she's definitely done with chapter 1. And Gretchen is getting comforted by a lot of the baddies because everybody feels like what Suki did was wrong, which I do agree. I think Suki was wrong for wearing rings or some type of brass knuckles underneath those gloves. I don't think it's necessary for her to do that in order to fight Gretchen, which is what Lex said when she was looking for Suki, because she did say that she wanted to talk to Suki about the bear mace situation because that ended up affecting all of them. And she said that if she did get to talk to Suki, she was going to ask her why she was using brass knuckles and stuff to fight Gretchen, because Gretchen is like 90 pounds soaking wet. So I don't think it's necessary to use anything to fight Gretchen. Now, Biggie is still going on and on about the whole Diamond the Baddie situation and saying that she's not in competition with Diamond, even though it gave that she is in competition with Diamond, because why would she be comparing the fact that Diamond got MVP twice to her getting MVP once years ago? So I don't know, Biggie's getting really annoying. Sometimes she could be funny, but other times she just gets really aggravating. And the next day, Scotty and Rolly end up having a conversation about Scotty's issues with Natalie, and honestly, can we wrap this shit up between Natalie and Scotty? Nobody cares. They're not really friends with each other. They were cool at one point, but they never really liked each other. They were frenemies, basically, and so now they're not cool anymore. Can we drop it, please? Like, who gives a damn? Either Scotty doesn't need to be on this show anymore, or she needs to be on the show and just not talk to Natalie anymore. And all the baddies are in different groups, and they're all talking about the beef between Suki and Gretchen, and everybody basically is in agreement that Suki took things too far when she hit Gretchen in the forehead with whatever ring she had on underneath those gloves. And Killa started telling some of the baddies that she definitely wants to have a fight with Suki because of the whole bear mace situation, because she was one of the people that got the worst end of it besides Gretchen, and so she definitely still feels some type of way. But somebody ends up telling Killa that Sapphire said that she was going to be the one that would be taking the fades for Suki because Suki's not going to be there anymore, and so Killa doesn't really want to fight Sapphire, and I can understand that, because even though Suki and Sapphire are friends with each other, you don't want to fight the person who was affected by the bear mace too. You want to fight the person that caused you guys to be affected by the bear mace. Look, I understand that Sapphire's trying to have Suki's back and make up for the time a few seasons back when she didn't have Suki's back in a situation, but I don't feel like she should have to fight everybody just because Suki decided to spray bear mace on people. I just don't think that Sapphire should have to fight these people because of that. Killa ends up asking Summer how she feels about her best friend Dolly being back, and Summer tries to play the victim during this conversation, saying that she knows that friends and sisters get into fights, but she would have never done what Dolly and Lex did to her. And I just feel like she's playing a victim, and I love that the other baddies ended up calling her out on it, because she definitely brought those girls to fight Dolly and Lex. She definitely did. And Fauna even mentioned that Summer actually said out of her own mouth before they got to Detroit that she had something for them when they got there. And so we know that she was definitely trying to get those girls jumped. I'm not saying that Lex had to whoop Summer the way that she did, but at the end of the day, Summer is definitely not a victim in that situation, and she had to know that at some point she was going to get hands put on her. And I'll say this, I don't think Dolly and Lex are victims either in the situation, because they knew who Summer was when they decided to stay friends with her. Granted, they didn't think that she would do them the way that she's done other people because they were cool with her and they had her back, but still, you knew that she had this in her. But Gretchen ends up deciding to go home, and I think that was the right decision, because I mean, the girl done had a hard season, okay? Suki has given it to her all throughout this season so far, and I think it's time for her to call it quits. I'm not sure if she's coming back for Baddies USA Chapter 2. I don't think so, but you never know. Production might bring her back because they know that there's drama surrounding her. Scotty ends up doing a cute little yoga session with some of the baddies, and it seemed like they had a lot of fun. That was cute to see, but I kind of skipped past it a little bit because I thought it was a little bit boring. And then Anna ended up coming back because she went home for a little while because she said that one of her family members ended up passing away, but Tasiki, Mariah, and Biggie end up updating her on all the drama that went down while she was gone. We don't really need to get into that because we already know what happened when Anna wasn't here. So Mariah Lynn ends up having a conversation with Sapphire in this episode because obviously she still feels some type of way that she feels like Sapphire threw her under the bus, trying to say that she's the one who called up Suki and said that Gretchen was trying to sneak her, and that's the reason why Suki ended up bringing the bear mace. And Sapphire claims that she did not throw Mariah Lynn under the bus because she didn't even say that Mariah Lynn was the one that called Suki up saying that Gretchen was going to sneak her. Mariah offered up that information herself, which is true. Mariah did put the shoe on and say that she was the one that called Suki, but she said that she never said that Gretchen said that she was going to sneak Suki. And look, I don't feel like Mariah Lynn said that Gretchen was going to sneak Suki, but she was being messy by calling Suki on the phone and even telling her that Gretchen wanted to fight her. This is the second time in the past 3 episodes that somebody has called out Mariah Lynn for being messy behind the scenes, making phone calls with drama. So I just feel like Mariah Lynn is messy and she doesn't like when she's called out for her mess. Now, Diamond the Baddie and Natalie finally meet up with each other, which I thought it was funny that they were seated so far away from each other. Like, the table was in the middle and both of their seats were pushed back on either end of the table. And I'm not gonna lie, I thought that was funny. Production knew to separate the two of them because they knew if they would have sat Diamond close to Natalie, Diamond definitely would have snuck her. Now, we obviously know that Diamond has an issue with Natalie because at the Baddies Africa reunion, Natalie ran at her and hit her with a ring and ended up breaking her nose. So obviously we know that Diamond still has a problem and she wants to fight Natalie. Diamond did tell all the reasons during this conversation that she has an issue with Natalie, and Natalie did take some accountability for things. Like, Diamond said that she felt embarrassed because during Baddies Caribbean, Diamond had a bikini on and she bent over to shake her butt a little bit and her tampon string was hanging down, and Natalie called that out to her, and she felt like Natalie should have pulled her aside and told her that instead of saying it in front of the cameras. And I think this is a petty reason for Diamond to have an issue with Natalie, and I know a lot of people are not going to like that I'm saying this because people love Diamond, but I have to be fair. I think that's crazy for Diamond to be mad at Natalie for pointing out that her tampon string was hanging out, because wouldn't you want to be told if your tampon string was hanging out? And then it's like, I don't understand why she would be wearing a tampon and then bending over in a bikini thinking that her string wasn't going to show. And I mean, this show is pre-filmed, so she should be more upset at production for not cutting that part out of the episode instead of being mad at Natalie for pointing out that her tampon string was hanging out. Was Natalie probably being a little messy by saying it? Yes, but Zeus production could have definitely cut that out because that part was not needed in that episode. And then Diamond started pointing out all the other reasons why she has a problem with Natalie. She definitely feels like Natalie shouldn't be shady at all if she's going to be the CEO, because she can't hide behind the CEO title but then still act like a cast member. And I do get what she's saying on that. If you're going to be the CEO, then you should probably not be involved in the mess, because if you're involved in the mess, then I'm going to treat you the way that I'll treat one of the cast members. However, it is Natalie's job to be a little bit messy. Like, that's her job. Here's where people are really going to disagree with me, but Diamond was telling Natalie that she wants a fair fight with her, and I don't believe that Natalie owes Diamond a fair fight, and a lot of people are going to disagree with me saying this. This is probably why I don't get a lot of support on my channel, because of my opinions, because Diamond snuck Natalie first. She snuck Natalie in Baddies Africa. She snatched her up from behind and Natalie fell backwards. So now she feels like she's owed a fair fight with Natalie because Natalie caught her off guard at the reunion, and Natalie didn't even really catch her off guard. Natalie kept telling Diamond to stand up and she told her she was going to fight her. Diamond chose to sit there because she didn't believe that Natalie was going to touch her, and so she ended up losing the fight. So that's my very unpopular opinion about the Diamond and Natalie situation. Now, Natalie did say that if they fight, they can do a boxing match where they could both make money off of it, and she said that's the only way that she's fighting Diamond. However, I don't think that Diamond's done with Natalie. We did see them hug and make up recently on social media, but we know that that's not going to last because Diamond's always going to have an issue with Natalie. Now, Natalie and Diamond are getting up out of their seats because they're about to leave, and Diamond ends up flinging her purse at Natalie, so I guess the two of them almost end up fighting in the next episode. I obviously was not surprised because I knew that Diamond was going to end up doing something. We know that she's never going to just be completely cool and friendly with Natalie. That's just not going to happen. And the clips for next week's episode, it seems like things are going to get crazy between Fauna and Tavi, and then Fauna tries to check Natalie for Natalie not being around, and I think that's crazy that people are saying that Fauna's right, because weren't you guys all just complaining that you wanted to see less of Natalie? Now you see less of Natalie and now everybody has an issue with it. And Natalie literally told all the baddies at the beginning of this season that because of things that are going on in her life and in the background, that she's not going to be a part of this season that much, so I don't understand why she's checking her about it. And I mean, even if Natalie was there, that's not going to stop any of the fights that are going on. When have they ever listened to Natalie when she told the girls not to fight? So those are my thoughts on this week's episode of Baddies USA. Let me know what you guys thought about this episode down in the comment section, and I'll talk to you guys in my next video.